All right, welcome back. We are going to be working with the digital darkroom today, and we're going to be working with images from this guy's book, Scott Kelby. If you are interested in digital photography, this is kind of the man, kind of the guru. He's an amazing editor, and he has a series of books. And let me show you. It's got this Kelby 1 training. So I use all of his books for my digital photography classes. And the one that I'm going to be showing you from today Oops. Oh, sorry. He just changed his. He just changed his from scottkelby.com to Kelby 1. So this is the guy. Long story short, this is the guy I'm going to be using samples from him. If you are interested in digital photography in any way, I cannot suggest enough looking into this guy a little more. He has books. He has different classes that are offered through here. Really pretty exceptional stuff. All right. He also does seminars. If you've gone to Photoshop World, he's one of the guys that talks. Okay, so chapter 2, these are examples from his book. It is digital Photoshop for digital photographers. And what that chapter allows you to do is download work files. And I'm going to use these work files to kind of introduce you to the digital darkroom. Sound good? So let's start here. Let's look at these different kinds of files. We've got a DNG, a DNG, 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 JPEG, JPEG, DNG, JPEG, DNG, DNG, DNG. So what is a DNG and how is that different from a JPEG? Okay. You know what a JPEG is, yeah? A JPEG is an image that is compressed. Our phones take JPEGs. A lot of lower-end consumer cameras may just take JPEGs. You have options in cameras to do maybe a small, medium, large, or a fine, super fine, or normal JPEG, meaning there are different levels of compression, but ultimately a JPEG is compressed. So when your image is exposed onto the digital sensor in the camera, all of that information that comes in, there are things applied to it, like sharpening, like white balance. And these things are applied and then compressed and then saved to your memory card as a JPEG. Now the opposite of that is camera raw. So a raw file, such as a .nef if you have a Nikon, or .crw if you have a Canon, those are files that take all of the information in and record every bit of information on that digital sensor and do not apply any changes. There is no compression, and all of that information goes to your memory card and is saved as a gigantic file. Now a CR2 is the proprietary extension for a Canon, and NEF is the proprietary extension for a Nikon. What he's done here is something very, very smart. When he imported, and I think Scott uses a Nikon, when he imported his images, instead of keeping the .nef, he converted that extension to a DNG, which is Adobe's Universal Raw Extension Digital Negative. Now let me show you why that might be something that's important. If you're using a CR2, which is a Canon extension, what happens is you get something called a sidecar file. So we've got JPEGs. These are compressed, and you have different compression and quality types in camera. A raw file, there is no compression. Each camera has a proprietary extension. We'll come back and spell check that. And when you have a CR2, you can't just email that to someone. You can't just open that up real quick in Photoshop and start working on it. A raw file has to be converted, right? Meaning you have to do some editing to it in order to make it into a JPEG that you can email, a TIFF that maybe you want to print, or something you want to bring into Photoshop and start doing compositing and retouching to. So something has to be done. So there are programs that manage raw files. There is a camera raw program that is a part of Photoshop. And there's Lightroom. We're going to be using the camera raw part of Photoshop. But back to why Scott converted these to DNGs, because these again are raws. Each raw file, when you open it up in a raw converter, such as Photoshop, the instructions to what you do to that file are written into what's called a sidecar file, right? Which is just a little text document that has to stay with that file. And if it doesn't stay with that file, say your CR2 file goes in this folder and that little text document doesn't, what happens is you'll go to open that and critique and there will be no instructions on how to adjust it. So it will open as the original without any adjustments to exposure, contrast, lens corrections, anything. But the DNG extension has no sidecar file. The XMP info is a part of the file, meaning when you move that DNG into my hard drive or to your folder or to your computer at home and you move it around, you don't have to worry about bringing that little sidecar file. With a CR2 and NEF, or whatever a Panasonic makes or a Sony makes, whatever those raw extensions are, if not converted to DNG, then you're always going to have to look for this little set of instructions. If you convert it to DNG when you are importing your photographs into, say, Bridge, right, so here in Bridge, I clicked on this little icon or went to File, Get Photos from Camera. And I'm going to show you where the little button is. So if you guys are using iPhoto to import your images right now, or Image Capture to import your photographs, it's not a great way to organize. It's not a great way to find anything later. One of the things about Bridge or Lightroom is it allows you to import your photographs into specific folders, name those specific folders, name the specific files, label, star, keyword, sort, all of your files, and in doing so, you can find things very, very quickly. What iPhoto does is puts things in folders and folders and folders and folders and subfolders. So finding an image is kind of a needle in a haystack. In this way, let's see if I could just get it to show. There's a lot of media on there. So what happens is this would pull up all my photographs. This option here is the one that you want to check if you are shooting raw. So most of what I have is just, well, this is everything on my hard drive, and you can see it's a lot of JPEGs. If I had any raw images on here, and I hit convert to JPEG, I'm sorry, DNG, it would take what are probably CR2s because I have a Canon, and it would convert that, meaning that way I can show it to your class, I can show it to my afternoon class, I could submit it for an exhibition, and I don't have to worry about that sidecar file. So, long story short, in here, the files that are in this folder, we have two types. We have 3 JPEG files, and then we have 8 DNGs that he has converted upon import. Both of them can be edited using the camera raw component of Photoshop or Lightroom, and we're going to go into that in the next video. So right now, under Filter, in Bridge, you can see just the DNGs are selected, the DNG and the JPEGs, or we can just unselect and show all of them. Okay? So any questions about what we're looking at and why converting to DNG can make your life a lot easier? No? Okay, we'll keep going.